And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Barides.
Happy January. Happy New Year. I think this is our first recording that we've sat down and recorded together. It's been a long time, I feel like. Um,
We did the one with Sean a couple weeks
oh,
ago,
okay, I guess Sean was the most recent.
but a
It,
lot of the episodes have been pre-recorded as we kind of got through the holidays and travel and a billion other things that have come up with
yeah,
the schedule. So I think this is the first. I guess like we're doing it on a Tuesday this week. It's normally Thursday, but it will be the one that's posted this week.
yeah. I feel a little off my game. Feel a little rusty. I did go on a buddy of mine's podcast last week, so I've gotten the mic out recently, but yeah, it'll be good to kind of get back into our normal recording, kind of weekly, get to, rant about, you know, what's going on. I've got a rant written down, but I know our friends at Old Southern Barbecue have something going on.
Yeah. I think so. I went there this weekend.
I
And
saw that, and you were
and
making, and you made some leftover action. I saw.
yeah. So like I want it to be known for sure that like we don't just, or at least me, maybe you guys do, but I don't just go there and say I go there because they sponsor the show. I honestly like go there to eat now. Like it's like a regular spot, and like my kids like it and my wife likes it. So went there, and the barbecue bug hit me where I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna get a pound of like everything and then have leftovers. Just like I made the drive out here. I mean, it's not that far, but I'm like, let's get a pound of brisket, a
You
pound of
were
pulled
pot committed. You were pot
pork,
committed.
half rack of ribs, and then just have the meats ready to go for things, um, for leftovers and whatever. So I did make a breakfast hash with the leftovers. First time making it. I used leftover brisket and leftover hot link. So sausage link for those that don't know what hot link is. Um, Really good. I actually impressed myself because it was my first time actually making that, and I kind of just made it up as I went. I wasn't like following a recipe. I just was kind of ad-libbing to see like how can I make this work, and it turned out great. So I know that they have a bunch of specials going on, promotions. NFL playoffs are going on, and so I don't know. We went and got barbecue and watched football, and you know dealt with the polar vortex this weekend.
I uh it's been probably a month or two since I've been at their location. However, I have started diving into their sauces. We got, a trial. So my brother, he moved into he's out of mom's house. So he was hosting the family, and we went over there, and I was in charge of cooking, and I brought some barbecue sauce over, and the people were fans of it. People liked what they were tasting. So
Yeah, and I know this weekend, might not be this weekend, but soon I do want to try Old Southern Barbecue's wings. That's the one thing I haven't had yet is their smoked wings. So I don't know if any listeners have had those at Old Southern Barbecue. Let me know what you think. I'm a big fan of wings. And so we'll see. I guess everything else has been good there, so I don't anticipate them being not good. So,
yeah.
but that's like a perfect thing to grab, for like a football game or whatever, if you're gonna watch this weekend. And that brings me to, I don't want to call it a rant, but kind of a back and forth that me and you had on Twitter, about Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like somebody posted like Schefter or one of the NFL insider guys said that if the Packers win a playoff game in Jordan Love's contract, he gets a $500,000, $500,000 bonus.
Yeah.
I just was like, I said something like, I hope the Packers win, but they score like two special teams touchdowns and a field goal and win, 17-16. And, Jordan Love throws for 48 yards and two picks and gets his $500,000 bonus.
Yeah.
He ended up playing great. They ended up crushing the Cowboys. But you were like, you can't cheer for the Packers. And then I kind of rebuttal saying I'm
Yeah.
not really cheering for them. I just thought it was funny that like there's 11 on each side on a football field, like 11 offense, 11 defense, right? 11. So 21 starters can dominate the game, and then the $500,000 bonus goes to like the one guy.
Yeah.
Uh, which I thought was like I just thought that was funny, but he earned it. He played well. Their defense played well, but that brings me to the point of like as a Vikings fan, can you can you cheer in this case for the Packers and the Lions? Like, can you cheer for an interdivision team to do well and like pick them as like the team um that you want to see do well, even though like they're division rivals, but it kind of like says like, oh hey, our division is the best division.
I think Packer wise, I'm not speaking for all Vikings fans. Like I'm just a Minnesota sports fan. I don't have tattoos of the Vikings on me. So I know people are more into the Vikings in Minnesota. They're my favorite team, don't get me wrong, but as more of a casual football fan, I don't think as a Minnesotan you can cheer for the Packers on any level at any time. I will say I like the Lions. Like their vibe right now, their coach is awesome. And they've felt a lot of pain over the years. So
Yeah.
and I've experienced the Detroit sports culture going to school out there. So I I think I think a Minnesotan, I'm okay with a Minnesotan, tipping their cap to the Lions this playoff season, and hopefully they do well and go on a run. But Packers, I think it's a different story. I don't think you can.
So it's I agree. I agree with what you're saying in the sense that it's you can cheer for like the division, but if it's the arch rival, you can't cheer for him. So if you're a Gopher football fan, you can cheer for anyone but Wisconsin to win it. If you're a Michigan football fan, you can want the Big Ten to do well, but you can't want Ohio State to win. So it's your
Yeah,
one rival that it's off limits, but other than that, you can cheer for like what about the Bears for this example? What if the Bears were in the playoffs? Would you cheer for them? Are you
I don't
indifferent?
know. Like I guess
Like
no. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to cheer for the Bears. Like come on. Like
'cause I guess it's interesting because there is a lot of people that are like absolutely if their team's not in it, they're just like, nope, I'm done watching whatever. And then there's people like me where I'm like, all right, I have to have a backup team. I'm a Minnesota sports fan, like by default,
yeah,
but I have to have a backup team always so that I can have something to watch in the postseason,
right.
basically, is kind of my thought process. Because it's rare that if we get in anywhere, we're not lasting very long. Um,
Especially right now.
and
Things are ugly.
so usually I just personally pick a team from the other conference. So it's like there's no weird issues. But yeah, listeners, let us know what you think about that. Can you cheer for the rival? Does that make your team look better of like the division as the whole or the conference as a whole is better?
Yeah, I hear that. Obviously I've seen that um people say that, but I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
more on the side of
that,
like if your team's out, like
yeah.
I'd say I'm more on that side of things. Like I'm not cheering for the people that we're battling to get into playoffs against every week.
I'm with you. I just hear that other narrative a lot of people being like, "Well, I'll cheer for the rival because they're in our division or they're
Yeah.
a Big Ten team or a NFC team or whatever."
One rant that I had, and I think I blogged about it too on downthealleypod.com. And I think I sent this over to you and our great commenter Turnbull, he chimed in the comment section on the Down the Alley Pod blog. So run tests, are those things of the past? Are those are they needed? Are they a team builder or is it a waste of time?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with the narrative that I think a few people chimed in of, if that's a standard you're going to set like for like a preseason thing or a first day thing to kind of test the accountability of the people in your locker room, I think that's a great reason to do it. If you're spending 45 minutes of practice every day doing distance running for a lacrosse team, probably not going to win a lot of games. If that's all you're doing, and that's so, I think it's context is important on that, but I kind of take, I think it was your side. I think Goltz chimed in, funny enough, who would expect that?
He
Uh,
never chimes in.
he never chimes in. Turnbull, I think, was on this too of saying, it is a good way to sort of see who's willing to commit to a hard thing and like kind of be accountable to their teammates and be like you're exposed if you don't. It's not even if you pass it, but if you're like not even close and it's clear that you didn't, do anything in the off season, like I think that sends a pretty clear message to, the people around you.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That was kind of the side I was on. Um, you get your locker room rowing towards the same thing, towards a common goal. I know, I talked about the Detroit ones. I don't know if I passed a single run test. Like they were they weren't people did pass them, but there were more people failed them than passed them. But like you said, you got to get close. You gotta show you're at least in the ballpark of passing. If you're nowhere close, yeah, you're sending a bad message to your teammates or coaches, everything like that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I think if you're like to kind of play devil's advocate, if you're if you're trying to use run tests, like distance running tests, as a measure of success for your lacrosse team, like every day, it's probably not the most effective way to develop, an like I don't know all the studies and stuff, but just running 10 miles every day, is that going to be the best way to develop your athletes on a lacrosse field? No, probably not. Um, but again, if you're looking at it from that accountability perspective, I think they're still valid.
Right on. Right on. What else has gotten your wheels turning? Anyone make you mad on Twitter lately?
No,
Are you off Twitter? It's 2024. Well, no, you've actually doubled down on Twitter.
I've doubled down on Twitter in the sense that I recently joined preplacrosse.com as a contributing writer for sort of the Minnesota lacrosse scene. So been I won't say it's like made my usage of Twitter more. I have like been like that's like the medium that they're big on. So like I wanted to make sure that I was like following those protocols and like once the season starts, I'm probably gonna do more, I guess, live tweeting or like more engagement as like games are happening and like lacrosse is firing up. But nothing's made me mad necessarily. The same seven people that complain about club lacrosse are still complaining about it. Yet they're still running a club while they complain about it. And so that's pretty funny to see how angry they get about what everybody else is doing all the time and not watching their own bobber. So that's pretty funny. Um, I think I've been more excited, honestly, because all the college programs have been sort of starting the content, right? Like first day of practice, gear drops, schedules are coming out. And even like high school teams have been dropping schedules as well. So this is the best time of year. Honestly, I'm getting so excited for lacrosse season at all levels.
Yeah, the itch is definitely starting to come back. Yeah, I'm excited to get all my monitors going in February with, a bunch of college lacrosse games. Um,
I have a good one from today. I had texted Coach Clem, who he had on, last show, 2 shows ago, I guess. I had texted him a question about something, and he was like, "Hey, can I call you?" And we had like a half-hour conversation about lacrosse today, like high school lacrosse. And I'm just like, that's when you're getting close. Is it's just like, that was way more fun than actually working on anything productive today. I'm just like talking shop with Coach Clem about, I don't even know what the original question was. We were just talking about teams and who we think is going to be good this year and who's looking good in winter league and all this stuff. Like winter leagues are starting So that's going to be a topic of discussion.
Is he going to domes every Sunday to watch teams win, winter league games?
I think he's helping out Benild's. I think he's like helping their winter league team. Like he's like coaching. Like how much coaching is he actually
He's
doing?
doing off season stuff.
The
No, that's cool.
supervising. Yeah. So or he helped out for one game. And like because they needed a body or something. I don't know the extent of the details,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. He probably is breaking down film right now. The guy loves it. So, shout out Coach Clem. I had a great conversation with him today, and but yeah, no big rants. I think it's just more excitement and um, kind of seeing like the matchups coming up. And like college is getting close. Like scrimmages are probably starting in a week or two here, and
Yeah.
then first games are that first weekend in February, I think.
Yeah. No, I think once February hits, depending on, the league and the conference games, yeah, games are starting. Um, I know, yeah. I think scrimmages are starting soon. I was talking to Coach Brunswald. I think William Penn is gonna scrimmage some D2s here coming up.
That makes sense proximity wise for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they had a couple of close ones in fall ball, so the D2s want to run it back. And William Penn, I think, has a little bit of bigger of a target on their back going into 2024 than maybe in previous years.
Yeah, and I know you watched them a little bit last year. Um, solid squad, honestly. I think NAIA falls under the radar a little bit. It doesn't get as much, obviously doesn't get as much TV time, so maybe people don't watch it, but I watched a little bit of one of their games and I was impressed, honestly, with the level of both teams, and it was a competitive game, and it didn't feel like it wasn't NCAA by any means. It was, as
It's
good.
yeah, it looks all the checks all the same boxes, right? And they got good streams going.
Yeah,
And I think it's a little more. I think I might do some content, like coaching content, for Down the Alley Pod this spring off of NAIA film. I
nice.
feel like it's really digestible. Like some of these D1s, like especially high level Saturday D1 ball, it's like, okay, yeah, Spallina just did something really cool again. Like what? Yeah, sure, you can make a highlight reel, but like, what are you gonna really like? Not you can learn from that, but like, what can you take, break down, and
Yeah, it
implement into your Minnesota high school team? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like less practical maybe in the sense
Yes,
it's like,
yes,
oh, that's a great man up look, but like, do I have three lefties and three righties that can all hit corners from 15 yards? Do I have an ex attackman that can throw seam passes? Like,
right.
you kind of start to go like this on paper. This is a great looking scheme. And then you have to kind of match that with like what kind of athletes do I have and what kind of lacrosse players do I have. So I agree with you.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like, the big time D1s are doing things that they obviously have the the personnel to do it. I think that'd be great. I think that's going to be great though. Get more exposure on NAIA, but also I think that will make for good content for like Midwest lacrosse.
yeah, for sure, for sure. What other I think you started talking about what other content are you going to be, working on and thinking about going into 2024 as we flip the calendar?
Yeah, so last year down the alley, we kind of did the down the alley plus thing. That was an experiment just to see how that whole thing worked. It was like a subscriber based blogging thing. We got a good handful of people, and I really appreciate everyone that, if you're listening, I appreciate you subscribing to that last year. Um, I think a couple things we've kind of decided. The blog this year, we're gonna keep that free. So I probably won't be writing as much like sort of quantity wise. Last year it was like literally every day. I was doing updates mainly because we had paying subscribers. I wanted to make sure I was delivering on that. I think this year we want We want more people to read. We want more people to have access, specifically kids. I think if they're getting shouted out, if their team is getting talked about, if they're a piece of that, um, we want to make sure that they can see that and get the recognition that they deserve. And, not every kid's going to be able to throw down $10 a month or whatever. So, that will be kind of one content change for the spring. So hopefully, people go to our site and read, read the updates, and the source will still be crushing it on the girls' side with their analysis. And I mean, I think they even dive deeper with the analysis than I do. So, if you're a girls lacrosse fan, for sure want to check that out. Um, and then, like I said, I recently joined Prep Network, on the prep lacrosse side. It's a new site that just launched. They've been doing high school recruiting coverage for years, in other sports. So Prep Hoops is probably the most prominent one that many of you have probably heard or seen something from. And when Ty Zanders left Inside Lacrosse, I think we talked about that on the podcast a few months ago. He ended up being kind of the new person they've hired to launch Prep Lacrosse, so their lacrosse division of this site. And it's very player driven. So, it's very much player rankings, player standouts. It's not going to be like DTA in the sense of this team is the best team in the conference, or here's our favorites for section one from a team perspective. It's going to be very much like, who are the best 2024 defensemen? Or, not even the best. Here's 7 to watch. Or if I do go to a game, 5 standout players from the Benilde Prior Lake game, or the playoff game or whatever. So that's the type of content you can expect. That is a subscription site. And so when you subscribe, you have access to the Minnesota stuff, but also nationally. So if your players, someone that's, nationally ranked or into recruiting, or you want to be, could be a good site to get familiar with. I think Ty will do a great job leading the charge there. He's a really good guy. And I'm very grateful that I have an opportunity to do a little bit of coverage as much as I can for Minnesota. I know that Minnesota nationally isn't maybe the top priority from a recruiting perspective, but we do have a lot of good athletes here, that go on to play in college and want to play in college. So, my goal is to just shine light on some of the more under the radar people. Maybe not necessarily the 2 or 3 kids that are playing on super national teams that are all around the country, but, more under the radar kids that are doing great at their high school level.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited, for you. It's going to be, a cool. I think it's going to be a learning experience. I think it's going to be, you're going to learn more about the business, learn more about media in general, and I think it's going to complement, kind of what we're doing with Down the Alley. It's going to add another, piece of, content being thrown out there for, the players and players in Minnesota. So I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I've already thrown a couple articles out. Right now, it's very much been sort of positional of like per grad class. So it's been like a lot of deep diving into stats and awards. And, obviously, if I say like this kid is a top player, then you need to have some reasoning behind that, right? Like, not just because I say so, but they had 80 points and they were first team all state and they whatever, like, so been it's been a good exercise in like really digging and finding the facts and finding some kids that, I've actually found a couple recently that I had no idea really who they were. And then I kind of was scouring through stuff and saw some film and I was like, holy smokes, like this kid doesn't have a lot of attention. Maybe their high school team isn't very good or whatever. They don't play on a big time program, so they kind of just fall by the wayside. So it's been cool. Um, I think the biggest piece of news though is the Down the Alley Coaches Summit coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's been something, it's been a team effort. I'm been doing a lot of the logistics and having some conversations. We took notes and from last year. We've been taking kind of feedback throughout the year. We've made a couple of small adjustments, couple of big adjustments that I'm excited about. February 17th is the event. Prior Lake High School. So, date, location is going to be similar, right? We're going to be at a high school. It's going to be throughout the day. A couple of big things that we have recently locked in and confirmed. I would say one, Game Time Media. Game Time Media is locked in, confirmed, going to be recording, everything that happens. I think you and I, maybe somebody else, as well, kind of we're manning, simple cameras and we got it recorded. We got things recorded, but amateur, right? So that was one area of the event we definitely wanted to, upgrade and make a little more professional. There's gonna be a live stream option, which I think is cool. We got some folks up in Moorhead that have already locked in and ready to go. They're gonna check that out. So, I think Game Time Media, they're gonna do a great job. I have no clue what that experience is gonna be like. So, work with us if you're signing up for that part. Like, I think it's gonna be awesome. But we'll take notes this year and make it even, it'll be great. Food, Old Southern Barbecue, making sure that people are well fed. Super excited about that, as they've been keeping Ted fed all winter long. So,
Yeah.
if for some of Down the Alley Nation that maybe hasn't made it there yet and they're coming to the coaches summit.
Yeah, good chance to try it.
Yep. What else? Networking event.
Yeah, the
Little
network.
networking opportunity at the point. It's a
I
Prior
think
Lake. Go
I
ahead.
think that was maybe the most discussed piece of feedback. Not even feedback, it was just the most sort of off the cuff mentioned thing last year amongst all the speakers for sure, but also coaches. There was just jokes of like, where's the pregame tailgate, before we speak? Where's the postgame at? Are we going to sports page? Because last year was at Kennedy. Um, and so I think that was something I think people really had a desire for, was a kind of a like a post event option to chat and shoot the shit with people. And so good job kind of locking that part in, something formal, I guess.
It's formal might be the wrong word. It's gonna be it's organized. They know we're coming. Uh, that
Schedule.
it's on the schedule. We're gonna have a VIP area. It's gonna be set up. I have no clue what that will,
Yeah.
entail. Keep your expectations very low. However, the point, it's a great local spot, family owned business in Prior Lake. Been around for most of my lifetime. I may have had a different name, in my early days, but it's been the point for a very long time. Like Old Southern Barbecue, it's a family owned a lacrosse family owned. They're in the lacrosse world.
I have seen they've done a lot of things for Prior Lake.
Sports, all of them.
It's Prior Lake Savage Sports, right?
Yeah,
They're a
all the
lot
sports.
of stuff. So yeah, no, they're good. I think that was the right place.
Yeah, yeah. That was like first on my list. There's other options, but I think they check all the boxes. They're somebody we definitely want to support. So down the LA Coaches Summit. Did I miss anything?
Yeah. Adding the girls side, I think
Oh, of
was a
course.
big,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Wake
So,
up, Austin.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it necessarily was like anything different. I think we're doing the exact same stuff that we did last year, but we're just adding girls speakers, girls coaches. We had a great question. Actually, Goltz asked this question. He said, are boys coaches allowed to go to girls speakers and girls coaches allowed to go to boys speakers? And we're gonna post the schedule, and you can go to whomever you so desire. Like you can listen in on any speaker you want. I think I'm really interested in hearing some of the girl speakers myself. So and I'm sure there's some like girls coaches that want to hear about maybe some scheme stuff on the boys side, or even, I guess Coach Clem, for example, is doing a film breakdown session. So it's not really, I'm sure he'll have boys lacrosse clips that he'll be working off of, mainly because that's what he has access to. But all of those principles on how to game plan, how to break down film and how to do it, how to watch a game as a coach versus a fan. I think there's a skill set there that I'm really, interested in hearing about. And I think a lot of girls coaches will also be interested in that as well. So yeah, you can go to any speaker you want, but we definitely have girls and boys coaches there this year, which was the kind of the original plan last year, but we couldn't get the speakers lined up and it just only worked out to just push the boys side, but we definitely made sure that happened this year.
And the girls coaches are maybe even more fired up than the boys coaches.
Yeah, no,
There's a wait list. There's more girls coaches, that wanted to speak, and it was like, we only have so much room, So I'm excited about the turnout on the girls' side. I hope it's more than the boys. I hope they knock it out of the park. I hope there's more girls coaches than boys coaches this year. That'd be sweet. So, we do. I think we have an interview coming up here. I believe they're gonna. I think they're trying to join us. They may have lost the invite email, so I might have to resend it. So we're working through this. We're working through this. It might seem like we've been ranting about all the things we're doing, which is not a bad thing. We got a lot going on.
What is that called in like politics when you buy time until
Oh,
like a
filibuster, right?
filibuster? Yeah, we're doing a filibuster right now.
We had a little filibuster, while we're looking for emails and we're finding Zoom links and yeah,
We're here.
We're here. We're here. We're just filibustering.
Sorry about that.
No worries. It's technology. It's you got meetings. I get it. Was it a lacrosse meeting?
Yes, sir, it was.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. For those who aren't watching the YouTube and are just listening on the podcast and might not know, we've got a former Minnesota defenseman, another Benilde guy. Too much Benilde on this podcast recently. A lot of Benilde, but when a player like this, slides in our DMs and wants to come on our pocket, you think I'm going to shoot this down? No. So former Benilde, current High Point defenseman. You LSM there, or are they throwing you at close?
I came in as an LSM, and about halfway through the fall, I was moved down to close defense.
Another topic I'm going to write that down. We'll talk more about that. Is it Kai Steffens? I've never actually met you. I didn't coach you. I don't want to botch this. Is it Kai?
No problem. It's Caio.
It is Caio. Okay, sorry about that, Caio. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Down the Alley.
Thank you guys. Thanks you guys for having me on. Love the show. Huge fan of the show, actually. Last season, I'd listen to every single week. Love to hear your guys' updates. I'm not gonna lie, didn't always listen the whole way through, but I did listen to every episode. I'd like to say that.
Dude, you're messing up our stats, man. Can't just stop halfway through the episode.
Well, we still get the download if he clicks on it. So yeah, no, we appreciate that. And we're excited to have you on. I actually haven't formally met you either, but obviously know who you are. I think your coach, Coach Clem, we talked about him already on this show. He's getting a lot of airtime for not being here.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he on the last episode said, he will die on the hill that you should have been Mr. Lacrosse in 2023 last season. And as I was kind of digging into the stats, I honestly might have to agree with him. So, you were a superstar player at Benilde, obviously playing Division I lacrosse. So we're excited to have you on, and we'll ask you some of the basic questions, but I'm sure we'll get some good stories from you as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of Coach Clem stories for sure.
What was it like being a player for Coach Clem? Let's get him out of the way. What was it like, playing under him for the 4 years you were there?
So pretty much I actually went to Orono public school my whole life. So since first grade up until 9th grade. And then after COVID hit, I transferred to Benilde my sophomore year. So I got to play for him and Coach Horn for 2 years. And those 2 years, they were great, man. Everything was unbelievably cutthroat, like unbelievably cutthroat, very systematic. But once you found your confidence and kind of almost gained your leeway with them, hold on. Once you gain your leeway with them, it was very like empowering, and they would really give you a lot of slack to do whatever you wanted. So like whether that was, all right, we're in a defense, Caio, say you have a matchup and you're going to have to play sound defense this week. And then we get to the game and I'm just like running around, throwing all these different kind of checks, trying to take the ball away. And I come off the field since I played LSM during my time there at BSM. He would like look at me and then he'd be like, all right, you got it. Just like, don't get scored on. And I'd be like, all right.
So you had a good leash. He gave you some leash to work with. Talking to him, he said you always like the big matchups. So were you the one going to him being like, all right, who's their dog? I want them, or you probably knew who their dog was and you're asking, or was he just giving you it? You're like, here you go, have fun, or are you going to him being like, no, this is who I'm guarding this week?
It was a very mutual conversation because I would always do a lot of film and like scout teams very early compared to some of my other teammates. So I would already know who their dogs were. Also, like growing up back home in Minnesota, we all kind of play against the dogs in clubs, right? In the in-state tournaments. So you kind of know who those guys are. Unless there's really like a young guy who's standing out, who's like, oh, I don't know this kid, but let's go. I want the matchup. Give it to me.
One matchup that, I think if you pay attention, to the season last year, alpha on alpha, Mickett versus you, just kind of neutralized each other. Well, you neutralized him. What was playing like, against him, and what other big matchups did you have, over the last couple of years?
So that matchup specifically was probably the most, not really hyped, but it was kind of the most hyped one, looking at the history that I've had in high school, also looking at Ben's history in high school. Like he was up for Mr. Lacrosse, undoubtedly. I thought that he was going to win it through and through. Congratulations to Carter. I thought he had that one in the bag. But yeah, I was really excited for it. I've played against him. He's been on Team Minnesota.
I think you took it away from him. You shutting
Yeah.
him down. I think you took the award away from him.
There were a couple of conversations about that, but who knows at the end of the day. Yeah, we've just always, especially Prior Lake and BSM, our history, like we've never really liked each other. I feel like we have a sense of mutual respect for each other because we both acknowledge it, like we're dogs, but I love that game. I love the competitiveness we had. We were just talking smack the whole time. It was a really fun game, and I'm glad I got the best of them. Because the main reason, I'm just going to throw it out there, is because I did not get that Mr. Lacrosse nomination, and I saw that he did, and I was like, all right, let's go.
So you weren't even, they do a great, and this is sarcastic, they do a great job even letting everybody know who is even nominated. So
Right.
Were you even nominated? Because I don't even know if I saw a list, to be honest
I was
with
not nominated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was not.
That's a fail on the state's part.
Yeah.
And that's just a gif of Michael Jordan taking that personally. Just adding a chip to the shoulder.
Yes, sir. Exactly what it was.
So we've talked on the podcast a couple times about players that we quote unquote say are worth the price of admission. I think Sam Arndt was one of them, who you probably know, is just a guy that's going to do something spectacular in every single game. I feel like I'll say it on the record here. You are another guy that's worth the price of admission. From the film that I saw, from the games I've been to, maybe not necessarily like a skill or something specific like that, but you bring so much energy to the game. Like it just looks like you love the game of lacrosse, first of all, and love competition. But like, have you always been like that where you just are so juiced up all the time to like when you make that play and it's usually early on and it just gets the boys going? Like, do you feed off that? Is that something you kind of take ownership of, or are you just kind of just doing whatever and it just comes to you?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Energy has always been a very big part of my game. It's something that I take pride in. It's a very big aspect of leadership as well. So if I can go out there and make a play I know I can make, but if I go out there and make it early, not only will it get my game rolling, get me in that groove to keep making plays, keep getting stops on defense, keep making clears, whatever it might be, maybe a big goal, but it'll also get the guys behind me, especially the defense, to keep doing their job and want them to hunt and get their takeaways, their ground balls, their clears as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the stats here quick. I think you had like 11 goals last year or something like that.
I
Um,
feel like LSMs last year had like a crazy amount of points.
Yeah, we were
Um,
showing out last year. The
yeah,
LS were some dogs for sure.
our LSM at PL was like top 6 in points.
Who is
Um,
that kid? Who is that kid?
he's under the radar. He's an under the radar guy.
Tell, tell me about him. Who what's his name?
He's an absolute. You don't know him? Isn't he? You were a Team M guy, weren't you?
No, sir. I was a true guy.
Oh, you're a true guy.
CJ Sheffield is his name. He's
Yeah,
the
In
senior this
Sheffield.
year.
yeah, he's a senior this year. He's a hockey guy. He's a locker room guy. I bully him on a regular basis. He's a beauty. But yeah, he's I don't know what else do you want to know? He's not committed anywhere
I
that
don't
I know
know
of.
where. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've never really heard of the kid, and he's just a dog, dude. Like he is an athlete. You're gonna put him on the wings. He gave me such a battle on the wings, especially in the state championship the year before. That kid is an athlete. He wants the ball. He wants to go out and hit someone. He wants a 1v1 matchup. Not many people were taking it. When we played you guys, they didn't really. That's what I know. They didn't really want it. That kid's a standout pull for sure.
As a
Yeah,
neutral party here, as someone who's kind of seen um, both guys play, you and CJ kind of play the same way. I kind of feel like you actually share a lot of similarities. I don't know if CJ's as um I don't know, animated maybe and like visibly brings the energy, but like you can tell like he wants the competition and like he is so nasty off the ground. Like he gets ground balls like picking them up backhand. Like I'm like, I don't how did he do that running at full speed? So shout out to him. I know PMAC you probably know a lot more, but yeah, no, I think, respect across the board. You guys notice each other's game.
Sure.
I'm sure you'd say the same thing about you.
yeah,
But
he's
yeah,
got some mitts. Being a hockey guy, he has some good mitts on him. Loves transition, but like you said too, like he wants the matchup. He wants to get dodged on. So yeah, no, no, that's a good shout out.
but PMAC, I got the stats here. So and Kyle, um, so last year only 15 games out of the 19 have been input. So you can talk to your coaching staff about that.
That
If
was the postseason was not input.
Yeah, so if that if I sell you short, please don't kill the messenger here.
It's all good.
12 goals, 9 assists. So 21 points as an LSM. I feel like there's some starting midfielders, short stick O middies that don't even have 21 points in a
That's what I'm
season.
saying. You were probably top 6 in points on your team.
104
Yeah.
ground balls. 104 ground balls. That's insanity. And 69 forced turnovers. Again, some of those things are like forced turnovers could be calculated, but you might have even been undersold on that. I thought you probably had more than that. Just insane numbers. Like you talk about like great LSMs and what they need to do for the team, and if you can give if your LSM can give you 21 points, 100 plus ground balls, and 70 forced turnovers in a game, like you're dominating between the boxes.
what else does the state want in a defenseman? What else are they looking for after season awards?
Maybe some height, maybe some weight. That's all I can think of. Some height and weight. But yeah.
Obviously didn't matter. I mean, just putting up the stats here. And again, you might have had more on those totals, with postseason, which it's just crazy. So, you're at High Point now,
Yes,
Division
sir.
One. How was that going into, like, obviously you're top dog at the high school level. I'm not going to say it was easy for you because you certainly watched film, you worked hard, but you could go out with the confidence and be like, I'm the guy. Get to the Division One level at a really good program. What was that like going into the next level?
Fortunately, I have a BSM alumni, Jack Van Overbeek. He's here. He's really helped me a lot. He's a senior this year. It was really nice having him. And the advice that he gave to me coming in is just shut your mouth and just be a sponge. Just learn everything. Put your head down and be the hardest worker you can be. Try and work everyone else out, because where we come from, we like stepping onto the field, it was just a completely different speed. Like I felt like my head was spinning. I was just lost on ball, off ball, the speed of the game on the wings, on the ground balls, like everything was just crazy to me. And I was just kind of just freaking out after the first week. I was like, what did I get myself into? And what the coaches told me, they were just like, look, this happens to many of the non-hotbed area guys that come in that are just haven't played against this competition. Like we have guys that are from St. Mary's in Maryland, Calvert Hall type prep schools that have played against this kind of competition for their whole lives. And you're just now stepping into it. So, I mean, it's definitely taking some time for me to adjust. But now that I've kind of nailed down the basics, it's more just hammering those fundamentals, like getting the ball off the ground. Stick work still has to be a big thing. Footwork is an everyday thing during extra work with the guys. So even when you think you have things figured out, your head is still spinning.
What being a freshman, that fall ball, was any run tests going on? Run tests have been a hot topic on Twitter lately. Any physical challenges that maybe High Point does?
Yeah. So we had a run test. It was the beep test or the yo-yo test. Some people call it different things. Pretty much you run 20 yards and back within, like, I think it's starts at like 20 seconds or so. And then you got to walk 5 yards around a cone and walk back up to the line. So you got to make it there and back before the beep ends. And then you just keep going and going and going until you can't stop. And the thing was, coming in, Vanna was like, if you do bad, not only will you be chirped for being out of shape, but you may or may not be put on laundry. So with that being said, I was like, all right, I got to hammer this. Hammered conditioning during the summer just to make it easier on myself. So, yeah, I mean, I thought I did pretty good. I was in good shape coming in, which is a huge thing, guys. Going to college, be in good shape. If you're, our Coach Torpy says it all the time, not being in shape makes everything in your life harder, especially on the lacrosse field.
He's not wrong. If you tested bad, what would you be put on?
Laundry.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's for I know, I love that. I had to do laundry my whole freshman year. So laundry sucks. Do you have to wheel it far, or what or are you actually cleaning? What do you guys do? What's laundry? What's your laundry situation?
All right, so we have these loops with everyone's number on them. So at the end of practice, you put shorts, socks, underwear, shirt on a laundry loop, and you throw it in the laundry bin. And who's ever on laundry has to take it down, put it in the washer, come back, put it in the dryer, come back, put all of it away.
You're doing the laundry.
Oh yeah, like you are doing the laundry 1 day a week for the team.
That actually might be where we had the laundry bin, and we had to carry this heavy ass bin up a flight of stairs and wheel it around to people who did I think doing the laundry would be worse.
I mean, yeah, we do have an elevator. Thank God. It is very, very nice. The elevator makes it easy going down to the laundry room, but yeah, we are doing the laundry. It is multiple cycles of laundry a day. So it's not great, man. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We went up to Loyola this spring to play Villanova and Fairfield in our fall scrimmage. And I forgot my helmet to the scrimmage. So after that scrimmage, I was put on laundry, and I am still on laundry.
Yeah,
Not
you deserve to be on laundry for that.
Yeah, 100%.
What else can get you on laundry?
Doing bad on the run test, not having grades acceptable to coach, getting a bad email or something from a teacher. I love
doing that.
Something that you shouldn't be doing, I guess.
Laundry. I love that. I love that punishment. Oh, that you're grabbing like a prop or something. The narrative, I'll call it a narrative, that High Point is a country club. Is how nice is the setup over at High Point?
I don't know about country club, but I will say we are very, very fortunate over here. We go to like a very beautiful, taken care of university. There's a lot of statues, there's flags from different countries all over the place. I don't know why, but there's music playing when you're walking around campus. There's fountains, there's just everything. Really cool buildings.
What are you studying?
Right now my major is finance, and I am doing a minor in Spanish.
Do all the business students work in the steakhouse or something?
It is actually part of your class that you have to do to graduate.
Yeah, talk about that. I've heard about this. I did my research.
I've heard about the steakhouse.
So essentially, it's called Prime. It's a 5-star steakhouse on campus, and with our meal plan here, you can go there once a week as part of the meal plan, which is really, really nice.
That's incredible. I need to get on the meal plan.
And then, so for one of the classes, you have to go in there with your classmates at night. You got to make an appointment. You got to call, make an appointment. You got to dress very nice, suit and tie. Go in there, and the waiters and the staff are informed that you are there for a class. And so they are giving you a grade upon your manners, how you order, your pronunciation of words, just being vocal, not being nervous, not stuttering, just being like formality, I guess, to have prepare you for like business dinners, things like that.
No, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool program that they do, with that. Ending up. Go ahead.
Think, Coach Torpy has problems recruiting kids to the school when he's like, "Hey, you got once a week at this place."
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, kids get here. I've had multiple recruits this fall so far, and they come here and they're like, wow. Like, they go to other schools. Some of them have been ranked in the past better than High Point, but they'll go to their campus and they'll come here and they'll be like, wow, like, I can't believe you guys live here every single day.
Love to hear, your kind of recruiting process, to bring it back a little bit. How do you end up at High Point? How do you get connected there? Obviously, Benilde players, at least a couple, I think, have gone there. Maybe more. I guess I don't know. It doesn't look like maybe, you definitely don't look like a military school guy with that unmade bed, but what other situations were you maybe looking at?
So my recruiting process started when everyone's did, summer going into junior year. Actually, when I was in 8th grade, I watched High Point on TV, and I knew that Jack was going there, and they were beating teams like year after year. They were beating top 5 teams. They beat Duke, they beat Virginia. So watching that and knowing that I'm coming from a place that I'm not going to get looks like the 4 and 5 star guys are, and that I can find a place that not only wants me, but I could fit in well in and hopefully play more than 1 or 2 years. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, I played club ball for many years, and then going into my sophomore year or junior year, that's when we got recruited, right? It's so long. It's been so long, guys. When was it?
Yeah, September 1 of your junior year, right, is kind of when
Yep.
the timeline opens up.
Okay. So I was going. Carson Brandt and I actually lived in Delaware for 3 weeks. We lived there doing tournaments there and in Maryland. So being on the East Coast all summer just for recruiting, I went to this prospect camp here in the beginning of August of that year. Came down, talked to Coach Torpy, did the camp, played well. And then the night of September 1, the night before September 1, I went to an event called Midnight Mania, which
I've seen that event. That looks so cool.
oh, it's sick, dude. It's awesome. So pretty much what it is for the people who don't know is you go, you show up, you talk to the coaches at about 11. They like do all their speeches and they talk about different colleges, where they're from, different things they're looking for. And then they take all the people in, let's say, a camp or in the scrimmage, everyone who's there, split them all up into teams. And we had different coaches coach our team. So I had Coach Galloway from Jacksonville, and I had a Boston University coach for my second game. So they flopped the coaches. But at midnight, you go get into your teams, you talk to the coaches, and then you go play. I think it was 3 or 4 games, 2 or 3 games, something like that. And that was a really cool experience because that night I got a text from Coach Galloway, or from multiple different coaches that I was very interested in. But I got to actually be coached by Coach Galloway. So I got to talk to him about recruiting. He got to see me play firsthand, and I got to play for him. That was one of the main spots I was looking other than here. So that was really cool. And then September 1, I got contacted by the Division 1 teams. It was Jacksonville, High Point, Wagner College, and I'm missing one in there. I'm pretty sure I'm missing one in there. It's a long time ago. And then moving on with that process, I got contacted by Division 2 and 3 teams as well, but just I always had a dream of playing Division 1 lacrosse, and with those coaches contacting me, I knew that I would have an opportunity to, so I decided to dial in on them and just let those guys know if nothing ended up working out for me. So I took a visit to Jacksonville. They wanted to get me down here right away. Took a visit down there, did the whole campus tour, watched them practice, and had a meeting with Coach Galloway, which was really cool. The new coach of Queens lacrosse was
Minnesota guy.
Yep. What's his name? I'm blanking his name.
Nick Colpitz.
Nick Colpitz, Coach Colpitz. I love that guy. Shout out Coach Colpitz. He was there, helping me out. I believe he was a face-off coach for Jacksonville at that time. Congratulations on being coach at Queens. That's so sweet. So then I was talking to them, then I had a visit here at High Point as well the following week. So I came down here, had my visit. Bryce Young, the defender for the Whip Snakes, was actually on staff at that time. So he toured my parents and I around here. Got to have a meeting with Coach Tuma, who's now defensive coordinator. He's a coach at Ohio State right now. And I ended up just weighing everything out with my parents. Oh, yeah, it was Boston University who I talked to as well. I ended up talking to our parents about all of our options and just realized like High Point has been a place that I've wanted to come. I knew that there were other Minnesota guys going down to Jacksonville, but Coach Horn had a connection with Coach Torpy, with Jack, and Matt Dowden. So with that, I just decided it was in my best interest to come down here. And
Yeah,
I
no,
also,
thank
I also
thank you for like breaking that down and going into depth. I think for the Minnesota, obviously mostly Minnesota listeners and players and families like listening, like they're gonna get a lot of value out of that. Every recruiting process is different, right? They're not just gonna be able to do exactly what you did and do the same thing, but there's a lot that goes into it. You spent a whole summer, on the East Coast. You're talking to coaches, going to different events, doing different things. That's going to add a lot of value, to the listeners that are going to hear that story. So, I appreciate that. And it's super cool. Like as an eighth grader, it probably was High Point, like from eighth grade, right? Like you had other Minnesota guys go on that you knew, and it's cool that it kind of came full circle, and now you're there now.
yeah.
And kind of a cool thing is you guys are going to play Queens Coach Colpitz on February 18th this year. So you'll get to see that. And no, I think I agree with PMAC there. I liked the detail that you went into because there's so many factors. And, we always tell our players, and I think we try to make it known on this podcast too, of like, you got to be able to go and find your fit and find like what your vibe is and where you feel like you're going to fit in. And you talked about that, saying like, I might have a chance to play here. I know some people here. I'm getting a good vibe. Like, not that Jacksonville is a bad program and like Coach
Right.
Gallo is awesome and that would have been great too, but like you just felt something about High Point that you wanted to explore, and like that ended up being the decision. And then like obviously you're good enough, right? You went out, and when you did these camps and when you did the tournaments, you went out and performed, and like you were doing the work to make sure that when you got on the field and this coach is like, all right, I'm going to watch this kid. All right, I'll take the second to watch it. You went and made a play, and then they went, all right, now I want to talk to this guy. So that's super cool. And I kind of like the Minnesota High Point pipeline. I think it's like a cool little thing that we got going here, and hopefully, Jack's having a fantastic career, and I think you will as well.
There's a
Thank you.
couple Minnesota girls on the girls team there too.
There is Meg.
Yeah, Sporny,
Yep.
Prior Lake gal.
Yeah, she is in my grade.
Shout out to the Spornies.
Shout out Meg. Shout out to the Spornies.
What so you teased it. Upcoming season here. Games are going to be starting here in, I don't know, about a month, depending on when scrimmages start happening for you and whatnot. Sounds like you got moved to close. Was that something on your radar going in, or was that kind of a shocker? And what's the upcoming, what's the vibe around the boys right now? What's the upcoming season looking like, and what's happening right now in call it the preseason here?
So when I was coming in, I was just in my head, I was like, I'm coming in as an LSM. I could get moved down to pole, or I could get moved down to close defense. I could stay at pole. They could even move me to short stick D midi. I would not care. I want to play lacrosse. I want to just be put where I could have success, right? Because these coaches, they've been through it. They've seen all of it. They're going to know where my talents will fit me and where I can be most successful. So coming in, I was just trusting them. Like, if you guys want to give me a short stick, I'll go out and I'll go try. I'll go ball. I'll go hit somebody. But now that I've gotten moved down to close, what it was is that, I mean, I'm not a freak athlete. I'm a 6 foot, now 185-pound guy who, I've never been the most athletic. I've just been smarter than everyone and always had the best stick skills, especially when I was younger. And that comes with watching a lot of film and hitting the wall a ridiculous amount. And with that, the cerebral ability that I have, they thought that it transferred a lot more down to close than it did up top at LSM, because LSM is where you want your most athletic guy on the wing for the faceoffs to get that GB, run around all the middle third of the field with the fastest guys on the field who are the midfielders. And it ended up I'm not the fastest guy, but they can put me down there. I'm a very vocal guy on defense as well. So if I can be put on that crease or guarding that X guy where I can see everything and just kind of a lot of times, since obviously I'm not with the starters this year, I'm with that second group of defensive guys. I can be kind of that guy that's like seeing everything, pointing everyone around, communicating what packages we're in, where we're sliding from, who's recovering. If I'm going, I need to, things of that nature. So that's why they told me why they moved me down and why they think it's a good fit for me. And so far, it's been working out really well. I've been getting a lot better, understanding it a lot more, especially in high school. Never really played close. So when I got behind the goal guarding Jack, I was like, what am I doing here? How do I do this? I have no idea what's going on. Just like, how do I maneuver around the crease? I've never done it. I have no idea. So
You get to run through it.
yeah. I figured that out.
Yeah. Tough first matchup too with Jack Van Overbeek.
Yeah. I mean,
From behind.
I've done ones with him and Carson a lot, especially Carson. He likes to dodge from wherever, but him at X is just scary. So that has definitely helped me out a lot.
As someone who's on like the second group, do you get tasked with kind of scout defense? Are they saying, hey, you're gonna run this package? Like you got to learn this package because our next opponent runs it, so you can give our ones a look. Do they do that with you guys?
Yeah, that's coming up actually this week. So this weekend we will go up to Annapolis at the Navy Stadium. We're scrimmaging Navy in Denver. So we are preparing for them. We have been preparing for them for the past week. I'm actually on the scout building team. So they just take guys who like to watch film and kind of know what's going on, I guess. And there's two sides. So there's like the older guys, the starters who are going to be playing, and then kind of the younger guys who need to build the scout. So we all just figure out hands of the returners since it's the first game. So we don't really have any film from this. We figure out their hands, their numbers, their tendencies, how many points they had last year, things like that, like reoccurring patterns that could be useful for the older guys to know. So yeah, we'll be getting into scout tomorrow for sure.
Scout team's huge. And like you're gonna learn a lot too, because every week you're gonna, it's gonna be different, maybe a completely different set.
Right.
You guys got like a name? You guys got a unit name yet, or
Still scout.
just straight up scout? Just
The
keeping
boys
it
of scout. Yeah, the scout boys.
scout boys. Scout.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I'm into that.
Yeah, I asked that question because you did bring up how you love to watch film, and I'm like, obviously you want to be on the field. Everybody wants to be on the field, when you're a competitor like you are, but how can I contribute to the team if I'm not going to be on the field?
Right.
Perfect job for you to be part of that group. You said you're going into finance. Is that your major?
Yes, sir. That's my major.
Yeah, this exercise of preparing the scout, and that's going to translate great into finance position someday. You seem like someone who's going to be successful in finance because you dig in, right? It's not always about what's on the surface. You got to dig in finance. From the little that I know, PMAC knows more than me. So I think that's awesome that you're doing that and that you're taking pride in that role. And again, our listeners, a lot of high school kids, families, everybody thinks that I'm going to walk on and be the guy, right? And it's like, no, you're not. But who are they going to remember next year when they have someone they need to fill a spot? Well, how about the guy that put all the scouts together that actually was working his butt off behind the scenes? So, no, it's super cool. I'm glad to hear that.
What's the big matchup? What's the, who's the big rival for High Point? Who's the highlighted, game, coming up here in 2024?
So we have a packed schedule. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but
I'm looking at it right now. This is no joke at all.
You logging Sky Miles this year or what?
oh yeah, for sure. We're going on the road to some big games. We're staying at home for some big games. I'd say the head rival who has been the past couple years is going to be Richmond and St. Joe's in conference. big teams have been successful, have been ranked the past 2 years in that top 25 consistently. And we beat Richmond last year to go to the A10 championship and unfortunately lost to St. Joe's. So that's going to be one that we're going to need back. And we're taking that to the A10 championship as well, for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking here. You got Duke, which is a classic early season matchup, both North Carolina teams.
Don't they always kind of start with Duke or play them early?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about Queens mainly because you're gonna see Coach Colpitz, then you got Cleveland State. I make that one because Justin Dallum's there.
Shout out Justin Dahlem, greatest
uh,
goalie I've ever played for. Love that
uh,
guy.
Yep. So you'll get to see him. And then you got two easy games back to back against Syracuse and Georgetown.
Really
Uh,
easy, right?
those are two out of conference. That's you're at the dome in Syracuse. That's a cool experience to be able to go.
That's my dream, guys. Like that has been on the bucket list for so long. The fact that we get to go up to Syracuse and play in the dome, that's crazy.
I hope that I don't hope this, but something happens, like the gear doesn't arrive, but like your gear does, and they're like, "Hey, you're on Spalina, like you're out there, buddy, get out." I don't hope that happens. I don't want that.
Somebody forgets their helmet.
Yeah. All right, Kyle, you're up. You're taking a spot on laundry. You're taking a spot on the field.
Yeah, then you got Georgetown at home. You can do a jersey swap with Seamus Foley. I don't know how well you know Seamus, but because I think he was gone from Benil by the time you got there. But another BSM alum. You're going to Jacksonville, which is always a tough team. Hampton. Then you're going to Chapel Hill to play North Carolina, and those are the games that you have before you even get into your conference schedule.
Yep.
St. Joe's in Philly. Richmond you got at home. Hobart and UMass, you finished with them. And then you got your A10 tournament. So Coach Torpy must think he's got a squad this year because he's scheduling the big dogs.
Oh yeah. He's tells us that he tries to schedule us the hardest teams possible, and the ones that say no are just they don't want that smoke, and we'll have to find someone else to play. So he always tries to pack it up, get us ready. Just allow us to have confidence and go into those games knowing that we can play right alongside those teams and that we've beat them in the past and we can still beat them now, especially with the squad we have this year.
Yeah. No, that's a great schedule. We'll be tuning in. PMAC and I, before you got on, we're just talking. We were pretty pumped because like the college teams are starting to sort of have content. Practices have been starting. So like lacrosse season is sort of starting now. We're just so fired up. High school, Minnesota's a little farther away, but we get our college fix for like about 6 weeks, and then high school gets full swing for us. But
Can we change that? Can we change when the season starts? Like that's brutal.
Yeah,
if there's not 10 feet of snow on the ground in March, that's the tough part year to year, right?
Honestly, if you have like a senior project or a project in one of your business classes, like how to create a case to present to the MSHSL to get them to actually do something about it, I mean, that would be a great thing to work on. Because like we're so far down their list of priorities. But yeah, baseball and softball start mid-March. I think like track and field starts before us too. So it's like, well, they're all outside. Why can't we be? But I don't know. I digress.
Since you listen, but you don't ever finish an episode, sounds like
I do. I'm saying not everyone, guys. Come on.
You may know, you may not know what we end with. And that is, what is your alley? What's something are you maybe fired up this year? Maybe it's a lifelong thing. You can kind of take it any direction that you want.
I've thought about this a lot of times, actually.
Like you had to know it was coming.
My alley would just be being the most positive person you can be. For me, that has really translated a lot to the field and being a leader, especially when I was younger, because now obviously I'm not really in a leadership position, but back in high school, it was just on those days when something happens and something's feeling down, or the boys don't really want to practice, it's cold out, and we aren't playing a great opponent and no one's really focused up, or it's after a loss. Like even after we lost to Prior Lake last year, it was like you got to own your mistakes and you got to stay happy, because at the end of the day, someone has got it worse, and we're living like beautiful lives. We get to play lacrosse all the time. We get to hang out with the boys before and after lacrosse all the time. We have great food. We all have houses. We all have water, running water. Like there isn't really much to complain about, especially in the world I grew up in and the people I was surrounded with at Benilde St. Margaret's. When I saw people complaining about little ticky-tacky things, when all they have to do is just smile, just make someone laugh, give someone a compliment, just give off that energy, and it just makes the whole room, the whole community a better place.
That's a great message. Great way to end the pod, and yeah, a good message going into kind of start here in 2024. We live in the greatest country, and
God bless America. God bless America.
yeah, a lot of people that we're surrounded with, in the lacrosse community. You're right. Like, yeah, we're blessed. So, I appreciate that message, and I appreciate you coming down the alley, sharing your story, getting to introduce you to DTA Nation. They should already know who you are, but if they didn't, they do now. And you added a ton of value to them, and sharing your experiences. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for coming down the alley with us.
Thank you guys very much. Check that one off the bucket list. Keep doing what you guys are doing. You guys are just spreading it all throughout Minnesota. Like my dad even listens to this, which is crazy. Like he gets all into it. He loves the Discord too. The Discord thing you guys got going on. That community is unreal. Like it's just getting so many more people in tune to what's going on with high school lacrosse, or even guys that are balling out in club, committing here, committing there, and just bringing the whole sport of lacrosse up. I want to say huge thank you to you guys for having me on. I had a great time. Apologize for being late.
That's all right.
And for the messy bed. Army wouldn't love that, would they?
No, you're not going to be able to hang out with Gus Bell in college.
Oh no.
You'd be running. You'd be running for that bed.
Yeah,
How was that? That interview was great.
That was a good interview. I'm saying too much Benilde lately. Too much, but they've been good interviews. Gus was good. Gus was good.
Well, hey, it was nice finally meeting you, but good luck in the start of your season. We'll be tuning in on all the subscriptions that will be logging in here soon to watch you, and we'll probably have to have you on at some point mid-season to see how things are going.
Let's do it.
Let's
do it all on time. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Thank you, DTA Nation. See you guys.
And thank you to Caio from High Point University, Benilde St. Margaret's alum, not a Mr. Lacrosse finalist. Thank you for coming down the alley, and we will be back. Are we logging off, Ted? Or you got something?
No, I think I had something, but I don't remember what it was. But yeah, no, we're getting close. We're getting close to the start of the high school season, and I think section previews are coming up in a couple weeks here. So that's going to be basically lead into high school lacrosse. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, section previews will start here soon. I've got a source, a different source, who gave me a nice little fun report. So I think we're going to get to look backwards before we start looking forwards. We'll look backwards one more time. Before we start looking forward to the upcoming season here. I think I'll give the source a name maybe next week when we dive into that report. Yeah, so thanks for coming down the alley, and we'll be back next week.